All right, welcome back. So for this section here of the chapter, we're going to go ahead and talk about Liferay's new content option, the page fragments. Okay. Now, what are page fragments? Page fragments are a new type of content that allow our front-end developers to create sections of pages. So that could be banners, that could be call to actions, anything like that, and allow our marketing team or our copywriters, copy editors, whoever would be responsible for adding, editing, creating content for our pages to edit the relevant sections to the fragments. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at some examples here. Okay, if I wanted to have a banner, just like we did with the structure and template earlier, but I wanted to reuse that banner and make it more easily editable, what I can do is I can have my front-end developers use this LFR editable tag in the HTML. What that does is it allows them to identify elements of the banner that I, as a marketing writer or a copywriter, can go ahead and edit on the fly when it's on a page. Okay. So what do banners include? They might include an image, they might include a main heading or title, a subtitle, maybe even a third subtitle if you wanted to get super fancy. And my front-end developers can create the initial version of that, okay, give me that fragment, and they can make each one of those elements editable. So I could go in and just replace the image. I can go in and replace the text, and I can add it to any page. I can reuse them on any page. I can change those elements on any page and make them relevant to the different pages that I would be using them on. All right, so like I said, we can reuse these page fragments. We will find these in a new section in that build section of site administration called page fragments. Okay. And what we do with these is we can organize our fragments into what are called collections. Okay, surprise, surprise. Collections are going to be very similar to a folder for the other assets. Okay. Now these are a little bit different than our other assets, so they are not found in the content section, so keep that in mind. But we can have collections to identify what the fragments are used for, and we can distinguish them just like we would do with any other folder. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of some fragments that our front-end developer team have already made for us, and we can actually build out pages very, very quickly using these fragments. So it's a very cool new tool that allows us to rapidly get our pages up and edit them and make sure everything is tightened up just the way we want once the page is there. Okay. So this will make it simpler to create our pages, but also visually it'll allow us to actually see everything in its place. All right. So let's go ahead and hop over here. Okay. Go ahead and open up the menu. And again, in the build section here, we will have a new page fragments section. All right, we have some new collections that we can create. We can either create a new one or we can import a new one. So for this section here, we're going to import a set of fragments that again have been created by our front-end developers. So go ahead and click on import here. Click select files. All right. And what we will find in our third chapter exercises here is the landing page.zip. Okay. So fragment collections are included in a zip, and the zip is structured a certain way to include a folder for the site and have all of the source files for our fragments. Okay. So let's go ahead and open up the zip. Click on import and exit out of this. Okay. And we will now have our new fragments. Congratulations, you've made some new fragments. Okay. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like behind the scenes. Okay. So click on the 01 main banner. Okay. And this is the new Fragment Editor. It's actually very, very cool. Again, we can add HTML, we can add CSS, we can add JavaScript. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do with these different fragments. They can be used for different purposes. And here in our HTML, we can actually see the HTML structure. Okay, you'll actually see the LFR editable tag in play here. Okay, and this is what will make this particular element editable to us. Okay, again, don't worry, you don't need to know HTML to use these. Okay, but you will have to have a team build these if you'd like to take advantage of this feature. Okay, and we also have at the bottom a visual representation of our new fragment. Okay. We could even test our new fragments with different screen sizes as we have these little icons here. Okay. All right. So this is an example of one of the fragments. We've imported 10 of them. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to actually publish them. Okay. Now this is intentional in this build of Liferay. When you import fragments, we want to make sure that it does actually look as you expect on the platform, just in case there are any inconsistencies or anything that need to be double checked or changed. So basically you'll need to click in here, make sure that the image looks good or the visual representation looks good at the bottom right, and click Publish. Okay. So now we've seen that our main banner has gone from draft to approved, which in this case just means published. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that for the next few fragments here. Okay. So I'm going to walk through this. You can feel free to pause the video and make sure you have all of yours approved as well. Okay. All right. So I'll go ahead and click on this, and I'll go ahead and click Publish. Okay. And I'll go ahead and continue on from here until I have all of them published. All right, so I went ahead and approved or published all of my fragments. And now what we can do is we can go ahead and create what's called a content page. Okay, so this is actually a new feature to Liferay as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this in the Builds section of the Site Administration panel and Pages. Okay. All right, so you see we have some pages here. There's the welcome page. There's a new default search page. We'll talk about this a little bit more later. Okay. We can go ahead and click on the Add button at the top right. Okay. And if you've used Liferay before, this is actually going to look a little bit different. Okay. We now have two options. We can either create a widget page, and a widget page is a traditional page where we can use our widgets to display content, just like we have for the welcome page right now. And then there's also a content page. Okay. And a content page is specifically for displaying page fragments. All right. So this is where we can add page fragments to the page, and we can edit them as, again, the marketing team, the copy editing team, whoever's responsible for that. And then we can add that page to our navigation and display our beautiful fragments. Okay. So go ahead and click on Content Page. Okay. We're going to name this Home. Okay. All right, we're going to make sure to have this, add this page to the following menus here, and click Submit. All right, once we have our new page created, we can click on Options and View next to Home. Okay, so once we click on View, we have our new page. You'll see that there is a fragment section here, and I can click on the Livingston front page, and I have all of my fragments. Okay. So let's go ahead and just add all of the fragments that we've created to the page, and we'll take a look at what this looks like. Okay. All right, so click Add for the main banner, Add for featured content, Add for click to action, so on and so forth. I'm just going to go ahead and add all of these to my page. Okay, so this will be like a single column, very nicely designed page using our fragments. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close this menu here and scroll all the way back up to the top. And so we can see here now our editable options like I mentioned here. So it's already on the page, looks good. I can actually go ahead and click on the main title here where it says Livingston Hotels and Resorts. Okay. And for this particular page, I can actually change this. Okay, so I could change this to something like Go Anywhere. You'll see here that I have the sort of subtitle section here. Okay. I can edit this as well, and I can change this to say something like, get ready for your next big adventure. Sounds exciting. And then Livingston Hotels and Resorts will take you there. Okay? I know you all want to hire me right now because I'm so great at my copywriting on these pages. Okay, from here I can go ahead and scroll down, and I'm going to change this here as well. So from here I can go ahead and click on the second part of this here. So it's going to be the body text here. I'm going to change this. It'll just be something simple like experience something new. Okay, and then I can go ahead and select the image as well. Okay, so like I said, images can be editable. So let's click on Select File. All right, and I'm going to choose new.jpg. Okay, and click Add. Okay, so again, that LFR editable tag allows us to empower the marketing users and our copywriters to go ahead and jump on the page and make whatever edits they want themselves. This could be for text, this can also be for images, and it can also be for rich text, so they can actually do some formatting as well. Okay, so as another example of this, we can go ahead and scroll down on the page here to where you see the hotel features here. And we notice, hey, maybe this example that our front-end developers gave doesn't actually have everything correct. It might not be accurate. So we can actually edit this to make it accurate as well. Okay, so for example, this section here that says 120 hotels, and then it says the Livingston Hotel Group is made up of 16 hotels all around the globe. Obviously, this needs to be 120 hotels all around the globe. So we can jump in here and just simply edit this. Okay, so we can say 120 hotels to make it accurate. All right, and we can add whatever other information we want to put in here as well. Okay, we can also click on the text here underneath award-winning service. Okay, we notice that experience is written incorrectly, so we can make sure to change that. Okay, so we're committed to giving you the best experience. All right, so again, this is just a very fast way of jumping on the page, adding edits, changing the content so it fits the context of what you're working with. Okay, these are all just default fragments that give us an idea of what kinds of things we would want to display on a page. And then if I were to use this fragment for another site, for example, I can completely change all of the points here. I can add new icons if I wanted to. Okay, so I now have a lot of editing power to really fulfill our design needs for any given site. All right, so one last thing we're going to do here is we're also going to edit this part that says gold starts. Okay, we want this obviously to say stars. So we're committed to giving you the best experience possible, and we have the gold stars to prove it. All right, so now we have everything we need. We've made the final edit here. So let's go ahead and scroll up to the very top and click Publish. All right, so let's go ahead and just click on Go To Site here. We can go ahead and take a look at this. So click on Home in the navigation. All right. And we can now see our fragment page. Okay, it looks very nice for the hotel front site. All right, we can do some additional configuration later by our admin team, and they can set this up to be our home landing page. Okay. All right, so this is going to be the two best ways of sort of rapidly generating content on a page. We can create structures and templates. For those of you who have been with Liferay for a while, you may have already used this technology. You can take advantage of just upgrading and continuing to use that for some of the structures that you may already have. Okay, but you can also take advantage of these new fragments that will make it easier for us to quickly generate pages, make sure that they have a consistent design, and we can have our marketing teams and our copy editing teams come in and make sure that all of the content is correct. They can switch it up to fit whatever context they're in, and they can publish that and make it just that much easier to create new pages on the sites. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and do a recap here. So page fragments are going to be a new feature added to Liferay 7.1 that allow us to quickly generate different aspects of the pages. Okay? They are reusable. We can reuse them. We can modify them to fit the context they're in. They can be added using that Fragment Editor, okay? And remember that LFR editable tag is what's needed to make those different aspects of the fragment editable for our content teams, okay? And they are all organized using what are called collections, okay? And collections, like I've mentioned, are essentially folders for fragments. They allow us to keep those distinctions between the different kinds of fragment sets that we have. All right, so what we're going to do next in the next chapter is we're going to look at some of the self-service solutions that are available in Liferay as well. So once we have the ability to create and generate all of this new content, how can we make sure that that content gets to the page quickly? What kind of processes and strategies can we set up in order to make sure that all of this stuff gets to our users, gives them a good experience, and is done in an efficient manner? Okay, so that's what we'll get into the next chapter. Feel free to stick around, and we'll see you then.